Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome aboard. This is Back to the Window with Scott and Scott. I am handicapper at WHINERS.com.
Number co Scott Rochelle, senior handicapper over at WHINERS.com.
And together we get to do this every single day, Scott, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, helping everybody to head back to the window. Timmy Earl in the house. What up, Tim? Great member of our Max Wagers Network family. Scott, not a lot of action on Monday night. How'd your day go?
I did well. I had one play. I had the no-run first inning in the Diamondbacks and Dodgers game. 1-2-3, 1-2-3.
Just like a waltz, buddy. One,
pretty
two,
much.
three, 1, 2, 3. There you go.
It was one of those days, though, where I was torn between like 3 separate plays, and they all won. So it didn't really matter, but I got the even money one. So I guess that counts for bonus points, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Michael Dose says the NBA lottery tonight. How important is it to win this, though, as there doesn't seem to be a bona fide number one pick, is there? King Me in the house. What up, King Me? Says best bets Rays on the run line, Cubs on the money line.
I want to like the Rays, but they've really just been struggling lately offensively.
Yeah.
I mean, Detroit has not been good either offensively, but are you a fan of Tampa? Because at some point you're assuming, along with every baseball team, you have a couple of slumps, you pick it up, but both teams offensively have really not been great. Do you want to lay a run line here since the money line's basically minus 280?
Yeah, I don't. McClanahan has been kind of the bright spot of that rotation so far.
But they don't score for him. I mean, you look at his numbers, he's got a 2.52 ERA in 39 plus innings, and he's 2-2.
Put up 20 runs total in his 7 starts.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not ideal. And this is a Detroit team that we talked about how bad their offense is. It's been a little better lately. They have scored 3 or more in their last 5. So I might.
They've also won 4 in a row, scoring less than 6 runs in each game. So they're pitching well. The offense is. I mean, if 3 runs or more is going to be your ceiling, that tells you what you need to know about the offense. It means you're not expecting to score 3.
They've scored 3 runs or more in their last 5, and they're averaging 3.6 runs per game. So, and again, they've won 4 of those 5, as the pitching staff's given up just 5 runs in the last 4 games. So that'll get it done. Also explains why you have a total of 6.5 when one of the people involved is Brisky. So that's a credit. You don't have to ask gamblers if they think the baseball is different. All you have to do is look at the totals to tell.
It's always a good time for brisket.
Would it kill you to make a nice brisket already, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Bronco Devil says Ivy is the best player I saw this year. Who should be number 1, Scott?
Based on my personal opinion, or who will go number 1? Based on betting odds and everything.
Give us both.
So for me, first of all, I think Holmgren's I think a lot of these guys are work in progress players. I think Jabari Smith will be number 1 because he appears to be the most pro-ready guy. Worst case is he'll show up as a stretch 4 and shoot 37+% from 3. But I do think he will be the number 1 overall pick. It's really tough to say who I think should be because, once again, there are a lot of projects. So I do think that to find an immediate contributor who could blossom into something is a little bit tricky. Are you a Holmgren guy? Because we've talked about him all year long. It seems like he has the most upside based on the unicorn frame and actual stature. But we can agree he needs to gain, 50 pounds?
Yeah, I just don't know. I really think that's a guy that could have benefited from another year in college.
And of course, it's difficult to give a guy another year nowadays because you can walk into all the endorsement money and the actual number 1 pick money. Right. Even though now with the NIL deal, I know there's some tinkering going on with the NCAA, but you're getting paid in college now for a player of Holmgren's caliber. So he would have been making money anyway, but it's really a question of what do you think's better for him? Do you think he'd be better off with another year under Few, or do you think he'd be better off learning on the fly, getting paid as the number 1 overall pick?
I think he'd be better off learning under Few. I think he'd be getting more reps, and maybe have a chance to bulk up that body a little bit. By the way, Tim Earl laid out a pretty nice little WNBA parlay. If you guys are looking for that, I know you follow the WNBA.
I did a podcast today.
So there you go. Keep an eye on that. Look for that from Tim up there in the comment section.
You can make money on it, so don't judge me co-hosting a WNBA gambling podcast. People at home.
No, yeah, I was going to say.
People at home. The limits are shorter, but realistically, I doubt you're betting up to the limit anyway. So you can still make some money betting WNBA.
I give no shit to anyone who finds a bet they can make money on.
It would make me hypocritical to criticize the WNBA when I'm hammering 40-yard dash times.
Sure.
So, yeah, there you go.
No, I proudly tell the story about making a shitload of money on American Idol and the elections. And no, I don't give a damn. If you got an advantage, pounce.
WNBA, I believe, was the largest title future I've ever won. A couple of golf tournaments I've won 20-1, 25-1. I know I said I like Sam Burns a couple months ago. He won it like 30-1. But I had the Storm a couple of years ago at like 12-1. And they didn't lose a single playoff game. So that was the easiest and best title winner I've ever had.
Bronco Devil says he still judges. And STM Network says money to be made at any small level sport. Yep, absolutely true. Anywhere where there isn't going to be eyes, you have a bigger chance to have a line not move against you, and you also have a better chance to find line inefficiencies.
What is the max usually for the limits on WNBA? It's like $2,000, maybe? $3,000?
You're asking the wrong guy.
I think
I've never made a 4-digit bet on.
I was going to say though, like small 4 digits, probably.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
I'm assuming most people in here are not betting 4 digits on any given play.
I'm assuming a $2,000 limit would not jam up too many people in the everyday betting.
Yeah, a couple people it might, but for the most part, it won't. So you can still bet one full unit of your bankroll on WNBA if you want to.
Yep, absolutely true. Unknown entity here is he finally made it. Good to have you here, buddy. Nice you could make it. And of course, we want to remind everybody out there to smash that like button, hit that thumb, just like you were trying to hammer a nail. Hit that thumb. Subscribe to our YouTube channels, both Winners and Whiners and the Max Wagers Network. And check out my premium plays in the description of today's video. Another 2-1 yesterday on the premium side, so we'll take that. Angels let me down. That was my play of the day. Scott
They scored a bunch in the first.
Three runs top of the first. They got Syndergaard on the mound, sitting pretty. I'm getting ready to sit in that rocking chair, baby. And it flipped over backwards as Syndergaard gives up 6 in the bottom of the first. So,
yeah,
not ideal, my friend. Not ideal at all.
Oh, Magellan, I'm aware that a 2K limit would jam up your bankroll. You sent me some screenshots. I know. It's fine. WNBA doesn't have to be for you. It's fine.
That's why we didn't say everybody. We just said
we said some or most. Magellan, I know you're in a separate category.
What else, bud? We got our deal at Caesars going on. That's a fantastic situation. It's still happening, so make sure you check that out. If you haven't taken advantage of it yet, you should. Get your Caesars account opened up, your first deposit, first bet. Make it a good one because you get it guaranteed up to $1,100. If you lose it, Caesars makes you whole. If you win it, well, congratulations, you just won a big bet. So, make sure you check that out as well. The code is ATS Wins Caesars, CZR. That is in the description of today's video, along with the link that'll take you right there. So, anything else? What I forget?
No, that's all I could think of.
Everybody
have a Preakness guide yet.
No, we don't have the Preakness guide yet. That will be coming, I believe. Make sure you check out all the great offerings here at the Max Wagers Network, starting at noon with Midday Money and Mr. Sean Higgs. Of course, it's Allie Burns at 1 p.m. Morning Wood, 2 p.m. with Chris, 3 p.m. I'm with Scott, 4 p.m. Sean Miller talking about soccer from around the world. And, of course, bringing it all home is the aforementioned Tim Earl, his brother Nick Earl, and Detroit Lenny to try to keep the Earl brothers in line, doing it at 5 p.m. on a Game Time Decision. So, let's find out what happened yesterday, man. It was we're gonna have some baseball in here, is what I'm telling you. Just fair warning. All right,
cool.
You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, let's get to it. Let's find out the good news, the bad news, the people that were winning and the people that were whining yesterday, the people that took it in the shorts and the people that took it to the bank. Who are you? Raise your hand if you had to call the cops. All right, Scott, let's get her rolling. If you had the Chicago White Sox team total under 4.5 going up against the Kansas City Royals, you're betting an under? Are you? Are you? Okay, well, it almost worked. They had 3 runs in the first 9 innings. That sounds rather ominous. Yep, here we go to extras. Hey, maybe Chicago could just get 1 run and then win, and everybody goes home happy. No, because you have a ghost runner on second. When Robert stepped to the plate and hit the home run, it was not a 1-run homer. It was a 2-run homer. Congratulations. Throw that under 4.5 in the trash. It was a good bet until it wasn't. Call the cops.
And looking at a first 5 play, if you had the under 4.5 in the Diamondbacks and Dodgers game, you were in good shape because they only had 2 runs going into the bottom of the 5th. So you need less than 3 runs and you win the bet. What can possibly go wrong?
Ooh, I know.
The Dodgers scored 3 runs, and the Diamondbacks first 5 plus a half, the under 4.5. Really, anything involving the dog or the under was toast, and
Brutal.
you can rip up your ticket.
Brutal. And a lot of players in my comment section yesterday had that first 5 play on the Dodgers, and I felt bad for each and every one of them because it was
Dodgers, Diamondbacks,
or Dodgers Diamondbacks.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. Yeah, that was a royal fucking right there.
I had the no run first, so it worked out for me. Yeah.
Finally, if you're doing it in the American League East, you had the under 7.5 in the Yankees-Orioles game. They had 6 runs through the first 8 innings. Just knock it off. Stop scoring. Nope. Yankees can't stop scoring. They put up 2 runs into the top of the 9th, and that game landed ocho, making your under 7.5 no bueno.
Well, you knew the Orioles weren't going to do anything. So the question was, would the Yankees stop? And when Trevino, the catcher who is there for defensive purposes only, hits a multi-run home run, it's not a good look midway through the game.
It is not a good look at all. But there was some good news out there. There were the people that had nice, easy wins. And no shenanigans, no extra innings, nothing like that. Let's find out who it was who was sitting in the rocking chair.
So the first one, baseball, who would have thought? If you had the under 7.5 between the Braves and the Brewers, you had 1 run in the 6th inning and no runs in the other 8 innings. And the game ended 1-0.
Hey, here's a news flash. The Washington Nationals are not a good baseball team. They're going up against the Marlins yesterday. If you had the Marlins on the run line, they led 4-1 after 2, and they just stretched it out even more as they ended up winning that game 8-2. Marlins run line, you're in the rocking chair.
And the last one, sticking with baseball, if you had the Cubs minus 1.5 against the Pirates, you had an honorable mention on a bad beat for the total. But if you had the Cubs minus 1.5, you're up 8-0 after 1 inning. And it takes the Pirates about 2 weeks to score 8 runs. You ended up cashing that easily. They won 9-0.
Pirates did get a hit, though, so that was
good for them. They did not score, though, but they did get a hit.
Yeah. And I'm going to talk about a play that I had, Scott, the wrong side of it, however. And I thought it would be more of a pitcher's duel. And it wasn't. Hey, odds makers, you had baseball yesterday. You had one job. You had to handicap baseball games, and still you guys can't stop the drinking. Let's find out why on earth, Scott, were the odds makers drunk.
That's going to be me next week in Vegas, by the way.
Just breaking bottles, throwing shit around.
Stumbling optional, of course.
Absolutely impressive. So we mentioned this, and I was on the wrong side of this game twice, as I had the Angels and I had the under, and that was not a good place to be, as the Angels opened up a 3-0 lead in the top of the first, and already you think, I wonder if my under's in trouble here. By the bottom of the first, you didn't have to wonder anymore because the Rangers put up 6, and that total of 8, that looked pretty silly because these two teams put up 9 runs in the first inning.
Yeah, anytime you have a total of 8 and it goes over in the first of 9 frames, I think the odds makers were a bit drunk. Game only landed 11, though, so they really settled down after the first inning, but who cares?
The damage was done. The needle and the damage done, to quote Neil Young. So, not good. Not a good day for the Angels, and I like them again today, Scott. So I'm a glutton. I'm a gluten for punishment.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, what can you say to?
There's really nothing to say. I mean, it made sense.
Like
Syndergaard was pitching well up to that point, and he got absolutely torched.
Yep, he did. I didn't see it coming. That's what somebody gave me shit in the comment section about. Nice pick with Phoenix. You're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know you predicted Phoenix to lose by 33. Congratulations, you're a much more prescient handicapper.
See, all you did predict was Phoenix to score 27 points in the first half, but you're not a miracle worker, you know?
Right. I just knew they were going to put up 27 in the first half. Exactly right. So we got your basketball taken back off tonight after a brief preview of what the rest of our summer is going to look like here in a couple
and hockey.
And hockey. Well, I can only talk about one at a time. So let's delve into this Boston game. Who you like here?
Well, my play that is on Miami. I got the -1.5. I believe FanDuel moved it to 2, so I did beat a half-point line move there, getting the trash can ready just in case. But I like the spot for Miami. And you can look at Boston and the road they had to go through in order to even get here. And I would much rather have Miami's road of facing off against an Atlanta team that's not very good and a Philly team that's not very good. But Miami has not played since the 12th. So Miami's had about 4 full days off, and Boston had, I believe, 1 full day off because they played on Sunday and did not play yesterday.
Right.
So I'm going to take the team that's been able to prepare for the opposition for about a week, while the other team had 1 day, and Miami's been undefeated straight up at home this season. I think Boston's going to win the series, but I do think Miami should fare well in game 1. Is it a bit of a hot take based on how good the scheduling spot is to say that this is a must-win game for Miami? Because I really feel that way. Like, if Miami loses this game, they might get run out of the building in 4 or 5.
It's possible. I think, I don't know that it's a must-win, but I think it's fairly critical. You have to hold serve at home if you're Miami here,
especially with the spot. Now you can make an argument. Well, Boston lost home court a couple of times last series, and they ended up winning a couple road games against Milwaukee, so it didn't matter that much in that series. But Boston, once again, should play its worst game in game 1 because of the scheduling spot. You're assuming Miami, with the crowd and the rest advantage, should look significantly sharper and more full of energy. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, I think I just worry about how good this Boston's team is playing right now. They're playing such good basketball. I'm not sure Miami can guard everybody. Both of these teams play very good defense against the 3-point shot, but Boston has just been so successful. I don't know, bud. I'm kind of leaning the other way. I know there's the rest advantage certainly lies with Miami, but I think there's also a little bit of momentum that gets involved, and you have the risk of Miami coming out flat. I think sometimes it works against you in that situation.
I mentioned a trend in my video. I believe with 3+ days off, the Heat are 36-15 ATS in their last 51. So historically speaking, they have been very good following a long layoff. But for me, I do think Boston's the more talented team as a whole, but it's such a brutal scheduling spot for Boston. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but teams that are following a game 7 while the other team is not tend to be brutal in game 1.
Yep, that does seem anecdotally to be true. By the way, STM Network says we would both be stumbling through Vegas.
You know him better than I do.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I've definitely stumbled through Vegas in the past. I don't know if I would continue to stumble through Vegas.
I don't think I've ever actually stumbled through Vegas. I don't think I've ever been insanely drunk.
Right.
I've had some drinks here and there, but for the most part, I was with friends. You pregame a little bit, you go to a club, you sweat it out anyway.
Yeah, good point.
So there
you go. You get out there on the dance floor, do you? You bust some moves?
I can't say that I have many great moves, but at the end of the day, when you go to one of these EDM, whatever, because my friends are into it, whether you want to be dancing or not, there's a lot of jumping going around and a lot of body heat. So you tend to sweat a lot of it off pretty quickly, in my experience, at least.
Good point. Joan's in the house, so she's been buying bandages to stop the bleeding lately. We've all been there, Joan. Nathan Cerna says that I do not believe teams would rig a game. He thinks the Suns sold out. So
then they sold out. I don't think they got paid to do it.
Well, I answered a question on the last show about rigging a game, and it was more It was more from an organizational standpoint. It wasn't from like one or two players tanking. I believe that's possible. We've seen Tim Donaghy. I think as the proliferation of gambling increases and these guys can run up some debts.
NBA players are getting paid so much money that I doubt you
That's
really have many players doing that
that's
nowadays.
what I was going to bring up is you have to make it so worth their while. But my main argument against some big conspiracy, and you hear it in the NFL, and then you've been hearing it in the NBA with Phoenix going in the tank, is no one is ever cracked. Of all the hundreds and perhaps thousands of people that would have had to been involved to make this happen, no one is ever cracked. No one
Has
is.
there ever been a point shaving scandal in the NBA? Because I know it happened, of course, in the Massachusetts area in college in the 60s.
Well, they had a couple. They had
It was the
one.
Henry Hill one, which that was
Yeah,
70s.
yeah, that was in the 70s. They also had one at NYU in the 60s.
I was gonna say Boston College was 70s, right?
Right.
So
That's
since
what reference
then,
to Goodfellas.
you haven't had like a single player point shaving incident in the entire NBA that I could think of.
Well, again, no one's been caught.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
So do I think that they rigged the game? No. I just think Phoenix no-showed because Dallas punched them in the mouth and they had no response. I think there's a difference between being extremely soft as a team and actively punting the game. Phoenix went down early in the first quarter and simply threw in the towel.
Yeah,
I think there's a difference.
Exactly what it looked like. I mean, you get these guys that are making literally 200 to 500,000 a game on the regular contract. I don't know how much you can sweeten that pot as a gambler.
Yeah, especially with the max contracts and the salary cap being raised and
that's what I'm saying.
Sponsorships and whatever.
No. Yep. Nathan says, I love how everybody is enamored by Luka Magic. Honestly, I don't like his smirks and his cockiness.
Phoenix started it last series. Luka is not afraid to talk crap to people.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it just because of the fact that that could be what he uses to get himself going. We've seen Garnett, Kobe, even like Dwayne Wade and a lot of superstars, Bird, Jordan, you go way down the line. There's a lot of superstars that have always trash talked to get themselves amped up for a game.
Right.
That seems to be what Luka does. Luka's one of those guys who needs to kind of have a chip on his shoulder if he's going to be successful. I've been a big Luka fan since he was in Real Madrid. I actually made money on his final game at Real Madrid. But yeah, going into the league, I thought he would retire as a top 50 player of all time. And I might have been underselling how good he is because he might retire top 5.
Okay. Super Sly agrees with you that Booker and Paul insulted him first.
Luka's had a history, though, of talking trash to people. But even if you remember the Clipper playoff series, they called him what? A bitch-ass white boy? And that's how you had that whole controversy that started, even though I really didn't care. But the point is that it seems like Luka, since he is viewed as being a soft European, because that's the stigma around European players, they're more finesse-based. NBA players, mostly Americans, think that they can push him around. And Luka tells them, no, you can't. And if you do that, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to laugh at you while I do it.
The Eastern Europeans, some of them kind of have a mean streak in them.
But the point is, based on previous decades, a lot of American-born players think that these European guys are soft. And they're not, at least anymore.
Yeah, I would say they're not playing because some of those leagues over there, those are for grown men.
But I think people would agree if you watch basketball in the 80s and 90s, you had the Vlade Divacs of the world who were flop magnets and people thought that they were soft. And even though if they put up numbers, people didn't exactly respect them. And now you're trash talking Jokic and Doncic and Giannis. It's a different breed of European basketball player than it was in the previous 60 years of the league. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. Well, and I think with Doncic and with the Eastern Europeans, I think when you grow up, because those guys are growing up tough, and they're fighting a lot. So they're playing tough leagues. I don't know about as far as Greece goes. I don't know how the leagues are there, but I do know if you're playing basketball in Eastern Europe, you're growing up fast.
I'm just saying, most people growing up assumed the European guy was the finesse soft player. Right. And it seems like the actual reputation of European players has been extremely tougher over the last couple of years.
Yep.
Tony Parker, Pau Gasol, all these guys.
Do we both agree about the under in this one?
I like the under. You can make an argument if maybe one of these teams gets hot from 3, but I'm expecting a very hideous series in terms of offense. Even if Boston comes out with a lack of energy, defensively, they're still very good. I know Marcus Smart might not play, but the one game he missed in the Milwaukee series, Boston had arguably its best defensive game of the series.
Right.
So they played well anyway. Robert Williams is back. I'm not sure what type of role he will have against a 3-point shooting team like Miami, but he's still a great rim protector. I like the under. I think every game will be a race to 100, and I think that more than half the games will have no team get to 100 points.
Yeah, I think that's a seriously a good take there. All right, moving on to the ice, buddy.
2 totals of 7, which I find extremely fun.
So, Tampa Bay, big dog here. Let's talk about them first. You think there's value in taking Tampa Bay?
For game 1 or the series?
For game 1 and the series.
For game 1, I'm torn on because Florida, I do think will be pretty motivated just based on the fact that Tampa's the team that beat them last year. So Florida with the home crowd might end up, I'd say, getting off to a decent start in the series. I'm still not a Bobrovsky guy in the playoffs, and the truth is I thought Florida did not play that well against Washington, and you can argue that Washington should have beaten Florida if they didn't choke away a bunch of leads. So I'm actually going to lean to Florida game 1. However, I do like Tampa to win the series. I think Tampa's the better team. And Florida has so many great lines. They have great depth. I do want to track the status of Braden Point, who got injured in game 7 for Tampa. And of course, Point is their 3rd best player. 4th, actually, maybe it depends if you include the goalie or not, but he's probably a little bit worse than Stamkos, a little bit worse than Kucherov, but still very good. But for me, I think Tampa is going to wear down Florida over this series. Florida just did not look good against Washington. And yes, Florida's known as being a comeback kid type of team, but there's only so many times you can fall behind 2-3 goals before you get your ass kicked for it. And I think Florida's going to get its ass kicked for it. They tend to get off to slow starts, and Tampa's not afraid to pounce. I will trust the champions until somebody beats them, especially at plus money. But for game 1, I do like the Panthers.
Okay. Lightning at 142 for the series. By the way, both these games are still 6.5, or they're back down to 6.5, whatever.
Okay.
So
they were 7 on the overnight.
Yeah, it's juiced over, but you can still find 6.5 available. Andrew says the Celtics are going to be motivated from the bubble loss to Miami.
Maybe over maybe over the series, but game 1, I mean, I also don't know how much it matters because you do have some key pieces. Of course, you still have Tatum, you still have Brown, you still have some guys. But you go down the line, Horford's not there anymore. Rozier's not there anymore. Kemba's not there anymore. Yeah, you can keep going down the line. Just because they have some players who were on that team that lost does not mean that every player from that team is still there.
Okay.
So I think it might matter a little bit, but once again, do you really need added motivation to make the NBA Finals?
Yeah, we've talked about that in the past.
I think motivation matters in specific games. Like, that's why I do like Florida to beat Tampa tonight because of the loss last year and the fact that they're at home. But for a 7-game series, I don't buy motivation. If you're not trying to win the championship, get out.
There can be a little motivation in that you remember how bad that felt.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's like a personal animus where you're like, oh, we're going to pay those guys back. But
it was also a bubble year. Like, do you think of it the same way?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I wasn't there, so I don't know how those guys think of that. So the Blues and the Avalanche. Blues plus 320 for this series. They were underdogs last series. They won. Can they do it again with Bennington?
I think they can. The thing is, people are automatically penciling in the Avalanche to either make the Cup or make the conference finals.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the St. Louis team. And I originally picked the Wild to win that series, and I immediately flipped my pick once Bennington was named goalie because I could tell St. Louis actually matched up quite well against Minnesota midway through the series. I really like St. Louis, and I think that their power play is extremely underrated. I think that Bennington, of course, has the championship experience, And what's the story with Colorado's goaltending? Because we've saw the starting goalie in Kempfer injure his eye. They brought in Francouz to play goalie in the final game and a half. But are we sure Kempfer is going to be at full strength for the entire series? Because you might be looking at a spot where even though Colorado is the better overall team in terms of talent, you might have a backup goalie against a Stanley Cup winning goaltender, and St. Louis might have an advantage there. So I'm going to go with St. Louis. I actually do think that the Blues can give the Avalanche a bunch of problems because of Tarasenko and because of O'Reilly on the power play.
Okay. Yeah, and Kemper is probable for this one with that eye. So you just have to wonder how bad a shot he took there.
Yeah, but that's
No.
what I'm saying. He had the towel over his eye. It looked awful. That hurts. But do you think the Avalanche are going to roll in this series? Because we've seen the Avalanche have a bunch of expectations. They dominate round one. We saw the same thing last year. Round two comes out and they no-show. We've seen it before.
I like this team this year. They're finally healthy. I think the Blues win one game.
You think they win one?
Yeah, I think it's over in 5, maybe 6.
Wow. Okay.
5 is my thought.
I think it's going 6 or 7. I really think the Blues can hang around with the Avalanche. I think that they could win the series because I've seen the Avalanche choke a lot. But with the backup goaltender situation going on with Colorado, I do think St. Louis is more alive than people think.
Well, if they have to use a backup goaltender, I rescind what I said.
Well, even if Kempfer's back, is he going to look the same with, the time off and the eye injury? I don't know.
Well, we'll find out.
We'll see. But Bennington's done it before. He looked really good against Minnesota, and the power play was cooking. I think St. Louis can cause some damage.
Fair enough. Jim said the Celtics keep it close because those glucose levels hit them like 10 tons of brick. That's certainly possible.
I think they will keep it close. I'm not saying Miami's going to blow them out. I just think 1.5 is too short. I think they win by 5.
Okay. All right. Good enough. Colorado win that series, or you've got St. Louis plus 320. You take that?
I really, really like the price of plus 320. I think that's offensive.
Seems a little ridiculous.
I think the price should be closer to around plus 210, plus 200.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I just don't know how you have
that price is absurd.
I just don't know how you have something at this level of the playoffs over 300.
We saw that happen last year when the Golden Knights were laying $5 against the Canadiens.
Right.
How'd that go? They lost in 6.
Yep.
So I don't like laying huge prices for spreads. Basketball doesn't bother me because basketball we have seen the best teams tend to win whenever they face off over 7 games. So I don't mind laying it maybe in that sport. But for hockey and the unpredictability involved there, I will rarely lay more than like $2, if ever, on a favorite. But I'm actually trying to find out what these series spreads are for the Blues Avalanche because maybe you can get a 2.5 on the Blues. Like the Blues plus 2.5 games are around minus 150.
Okay.
I don't mind that. I know you do because you like the Avalanche to win in 5.
Right.
I think 6 or 7 is definitely possible.
Oh, sure.
So I actually like the Blues there. I think the value's there.
Okay. All right. Very solid. Let's turn to the diamond. What do you got to do like tonight?
For the diamond itself, I kept it relatively light. There were a couple plays I was tempted by. To be honest, when I did all the research last night, there were, let's just say, not many listed starting pitchers.
Right.
So you kind of had to wait it out, which is why I ended up going back to basketball because I didn't know who was pitching in half of these games. For the actual card, it's also tricky for doubleheaders because you don't know which members of the bullpen will be used in game 1, etc. But we're saving one baseball play for later. I have to be tempted by the Yankees. I know, of course, you're laying a huge number again, but this team's crazy. I have done a complete 180 on this Yankees team. I did about a week and a half ago. This team's sick. They're 26-9. They've started to hit the ball well. Their pitching's insane. And they score runs for everybody not named Montgomery. So with Tyone on the mound and with the Orioles' awful offense, I don't mind laying 1.5. I think the Yankees should score at least 5, and I'm not sure Baltimore gets more than 2. So I'll take the Yankees.
Okay.
You?
Yeah, I think I like that play as well.
I'll admit I was wrong about my favorite team, and I'm happy to be wrong. So far this season, the Yankees look like the best team in the American League, and right now it's either them or Houston. But after Houston threw in the likes of Hector Neris yesterday in a tie game, and you have a questionable bullpen, I actually think the Yankees might be the best team in the American League. I think they're actually that good.
You don't put the Angels up there?
The Angels have been good, but you go back to the rotation, and you're going to be throwing out who in a playoff series? Syndergaard, Sandoval, and of course Ohtani's going to go game one, but I mean, do you like the Angels pitching staff? Because I still don't like their bullpen either. The Yankees bullpen might be the best bullpen in the league.
Oh, they certainly are right now, for sure. Let me ask you this. Do we have a little value here on Arizona at all? With Gilbert going against Pepio?
I think you can make an argument that the Dodgers are too heavy. Whoa, wait. I'm sorry. On who? You said Arizona.
Yeah, Arizona and the Dodgers.
For which game?
What?
Gilbert's already pitching. The game already started.
Oh, was that an early? Oh, it was a 2:10 start.
They're
You're
having
right.
a doubleheader. So, do you mean the late game, or do you mean the game that already started?
No, I meant that one. I meant that pitching matchup. I just thought that was
I like no run first inning because it's 0-0 in the second inning.
I just thought 205 with Pepio on the mound for the Dodgers. Oh, he's their 26, wasn't he?
Yeah, you have the late game, Kelly versus Anderson.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lay $2 against Kelly. I know that people just got burned from it, but I don't mind Arizona first 5 plus a half there. Okay. I really do like Merrill Kelly. I think he's good. I think Gallen's better, but Kelly, solid trade piece if Arizona falls back down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
You? I think a team would want him.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely a market for. I'm assuming he's controllable for a couple more years at least. So yeah. Andrew just got a live Celtics update. Not looking good for Smart tonight. A lot of concern about. Even though the MRI was clean. So
I think Williams is going to play, but you got to wonder about min restriction, and you have to wonder about how he actually matches up against Miami. And the truth is, Boston looked really good with Horford at the 5.
No, you said no, Marcus Smart. Not.
I thought you said Williams. Oh,
no,
sorry.
No.
I don't think Smart's going to play.
Doesn't look like it, does it?
I said that in my breakdown. He already missed a game against Milwaukee, and I do think that Boston might be more willing to rest him because of how good they looked without him in that one game.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's why Lowry's not playing game 1 for Miami.
Well, and he was a healthy scratch in game 7. He could have gone if they needed him. But
who?
Williams.
Oh, it's Williams. Yeah.
Yeah. STM Network first day apparently watching the show. You're a Yankees fan? Yeah, he's a Yankees fan.
I always have been, but I'm so negative with my teams that I camouflage it well.
Does it matter if Smart plays?
You can make an argument either way because they look good without him in one game, but he is the defensive player of the year. Whether you think he should be or not, separate story. So I still think that he can draw charges. He's a pain in the ass to deal with. And I do think that his absence will matter because he does bring a lot of the toughness that Boston's known for. So I do think without him in the lineup, Boston might look a little bit weaker or at least less confrontational. And against Miami, you kind of have to be confrontational, don't you?
Yeah, you really do.
So I do think against Miami, it will matter, but I don't think he's going to play, especially since he tweaked the injury in Game 7 and they had one day off.
Yep, exactly right. Nathan says Merrill gave him the old banana last time against the Cubs. Wouldn't be surprised if he dealt tonight. Yeah, that's the game after theory. That's the biggest lock in sports. The game after you back them and they burn you, they'll absolutely come out and smoke it next time.
Could be.
Just imagine you being an Islanders fan would also mean you're a Nets fan.
There's only so much torture that I can handle.
Is that a thing? Is it the Rangers fans tend to be Yankees fans and vice versa?
The argument's location based. So you can argue that since it's the New York Islanders and since the Mets play in Queens, proximity based, there's a lot of fans of both. Because they play somewhat close to each other. Now they play literally like right next to each other because the Islanders moved to right around the Belmont area. So the point is that they're literally like 10 minutes away from each other. So Yeah, I'd say it's pretty common. I'm not one of those people. I've been a Yankees fan my whole life.
Okay, there you go. Nathan Cerna, yes. STM Network is Steamroller Jr. Or
where's your damn hockey system parlays, man? You went off the grid for 3 months.
He is Steen Machine is what his Twitter handle is.
Didn't even invite me to the Oscar party. You got some nerve showing your face in here.
Did you stop by his 24-hour stream? He did a 24-hour Twitch stream this weekend.
Is he the Machine?
He's the Machine. Yeah.
Okay. I can't say that I've actually used to be on Twitch, not to stream myself, but to watch. I have not actually been on Twitch in probably like 6-7 months. I used to go on to watch some poker streamers, but I really haven't been on in a long time.
Right. There you go. Yes, Bronco, it's Newmart and Nowmart. I couldn't figure that out until he explained it to me why he did that. But I finally got it. Andrew just nailed 2 Nerfies. Outstanding. Nice. Outstanding. Best part about the Nerfie, you don't have to watch the rest of the game.
I'm just, trying to keep my perfect record going for Nerfies. 5-0. We'll see what happens.
Montana Clayton says, I love both you guys. So far, so good. I need your honest opinion on the Mavs Golden State game. Should I take the 4.5 Golden State or plus 4.5 with the Mavs?
Money keeps coming in on Dallas. I know it opened up at 5.5. Now it's down to 5 or even maybe 4.5. First of all, you have any thoughts on the series?
I told you yesterday I liked the dogs there. I think you're getting a good price at plus 190 or so on the Mavericks.
Okay.
I think that's an absolutely live dog play there. We'll see. Golden State was so inconsistent, where they
turned the ball over 30 times a game.
That's the thing. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it on the defensive side. I think I'm a fan of the Mavs there, bud.
I'm going to lean with Golden State. It's one thing to go small. It's another thing to go small against the inventor of the modern small ball offense. And the fact that Draymond can play center, unlike Ayton and unlike Gobert, I do think Draymond can somewhat stay with Luka. You can't stop him, but maybe you can try to contain him to some degree.
Right.
They're going to hunt Curry anyway, so they're not going to end up hunting Draymond as much. But I do think defensively, Golden State matches up better against Dallas than the likes of Phoenix and Utah. So I'm going to go with Golden State because they've been there before. I think they'll force the other guys to beat them. And maybe Game 6 Clay carries over to the first 5 games in the series. But for Game 1, I'll lean to Golden State. We've seen Dallas, for the most part, look underwhelming on the road this postseason. I know they were great in Game 7 against Phoenix, but I do think Golden State with the crowd should win Game 1, in my opinion.
All right.
But it could go either way. I think it's going 6 or 7. I don't think it's going to be one-way traffic.
I'll take the points. I'll take the 4.5. I think it's possible Golden State wins, but I think Dallas with the points is the play there for me. I love nothing more. I think Luka Doncic wants to kick Nathan's dog. I would like nothing more in the world to see the Warriors bludgeon the bastards.
Well, I'll ask, what would you rather see in the NBA Finals? Would you rather see Luka with a mediocre supporting cast, but for the first time Luka's in the final, or Golden State again?
No, I think throwback Warriors is what I'd prefer to see.
I think I'd rather see the Warriors too, because to be honest, I think whoever wins the East is going to win the title. And I think that even though Dallas has been a fun story, I think Boston or Dallas would beat the crap out of them. I think they're just too physical for Dallas.
Agreed.
You?
Yeah, I'm with you. Bronco Devil said it must be cool to have a dad that's okay with gambling. Your dad all right with gambling, isn't he?
He's fine with it. I can't say that he's that experienced with it or he does it ever, but he never really gave me a, you better stop doing the speech. I had that speech once in my life because I was down a couple thousand back when I was in like
middle school,
freshman year of college.
Yeah.
I think, or like senior year of high school carried over. So I had one speech of like, you better stop this because you're losing money. And I said, I'll figure it out. And I've been profitable ever since. So I had the wake up moment. And ever since then, my mom is still anti-gambling just based on her principles. She's never been a big gambling person.
Right.
My dad's never cared as long as I actually have the bankroll to back it up.
Yep.
And my bankroll keeps growing. So far, no complaints.
Well, I told you what I did with my son is I got him like the app on your phone or the website then where they gave you like a free dollar to play with. And it was set up like a regular sports book, but it was micro bets. But it gave him an opportunity to see that it wasn't as easy as sometimes people make it out to be, or he'd see me winning or something like that and think, oh yeah, this would be a great thing to do. So I think it is a healthy hobby for him. And I think he was profitable this year, but I know he keeps his bets in line and, never he's very conservative better. So yeah, it's worked out okay. We still have fun and we can talk a little gambling. So you were down when you were cheating.
I was actually not down when that happened. I was doing pretty well. I'm trying to remember how long ago that was. I want to say that was 3 years ago, I think. 2-3 years ago, whatever. But no, I wasn't even down. Truth is, you just had an opportunity to make even more money, and you figured, why not? So you gave it a shot. It didn't work out. But
you should do a tennis podcast, and you could have the tagline, "The only man ever banned from."
I'm the only person to ever do that. Like, no. And I'm sure there's a decent sized list at this point.
Oh yeah, prove it.
I've cheated with tennis on several occasions, whether it involved in-person stuff or whether it involved finding local sports books that gave you parlay options that are completely illegal. And I made a ton of money from that. Well, I made a lot more money from the parlay system than the actual in-person system.
That's not cheating. That's taking advantage of people who don't know what.
Oh no, it is. But you can argue that it's cheating because you're picking something that automatically cannot lose, and you're making a guaranteed couple thousand a week. I did that for 8 months, I think.
Right.
So of course, you occasionally give some back, so the guy doesn't catch on.
Right.
But when you're making an extra couple thousand a month for about 7 months, 8 months, that's going to definitely help your overall ROI.
That helps the roll. Absolutely.
I'm still waiting to find another local that gives me tennis parlays.
Man, what happened with the farm yesterday, buddy?
What happened to it?
Yeah, what happened?
There was a rain delay.
Yeah.
Odorizzi got stretchered off the field, and the bullpen came in and they sucked.
Other than that, it went really well.
Yeah. Besides that, it was fine.
I thought Houston had a little momentum there.
They were up 3-2 in the 7th, I think.
Yeah. Yep. And then couldn't hold it because it was tied 2-2 going in the rain delay. And then they just shit the bed. So after taking the lead there. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Unless you have something else you want to talk about.
I don't. I think we've covered everything. We talked about both the hockey games. We talked about the basketball games and series.
We'll be on Total Chaos later. Yeah. I suck on that show, but I'm entertaining. Does that count for something?
It does. It absolutely does. And we'll be on there with Chris. And, of course, that's Allie's show. So that should be posted somewhere around 8 p.m. Eastern time. So check that out on the Max Wagers Network. Total Chaos. But now it is Tuesday, and it is time, once again, kids, to do it to it. Put those overalls on, get your straw hat out. Climb aboard your John Deere. Get those lucky keys out. Rub that rabbit's foot, man. You guys aren't rubbing your rabbit's foot enough for us. We need a little help here tonight. It is time, once again, kids. You know it. You love it. Let's get ready. It's time to bet the farm. All right, sir. Well, we talked briefly yesterday about our Houston pick. That's still a pick I'd make every time, buddy.
Of course. You're getting plus money for the much better team.
Yep. I'm not going to pass. I'm not going to pass on that against that Boston team and a bullpen that had been pretty sketchy, but worked out for the opposition last night. So let's see if we can get back on it here today. And we're going to stay in the major leagues as we take a look to the East. We look to the East, kids, to reveal today's Bet the Farm play. And I know a couple of you guys talked about this game. We kind of ignored it because we had it here. It is going to be the Miami Marlins on the run line, -1.5 at +125. Miami's done very well in this series so far this season. They've won the first 4, and Washington just can't get anything going on the offensive side as they have scored less than 3 runs in each of those 4 meetings. Poteet is starting for Miami. Who? That's right. Poteet. Know him and love him because he has been fantastic this year. 16 1/3 innings pitched, giving up just 1 run on the other side. someone that makes it a lot more difficult to love. It is Adon. He is going for the Washington Nationals. Joan Adon going for the Nats. He has been not good, and he has been really bad on the road. He's pitched 13 2/3 innings with an ERA of 8.56. I'm guessing that's 13 2/3 innings, giving up 13 runs would be my guess there. Miami bullpen, not too shabby. 3.40. That ranks 10th in the league. The Washington Nationals, shabby. 4.03. That is tied for 20th. I think Miami has the advantage in all facets of the game here today, but especially in the pitching matchups between the starters and the bullpen. Once again, Miami rolls. Give us the Miami Marlins on the run line for Bet the Farm.
Well, the main reason why I threw in the bullpen stats when I made the sheet was because Petit's numbers are very good. However, he does not typically go that long. Kind of like what we saw yesterday with Whitlock. He's a 4-inning guy, maybe occasionally will touch 5, but usually around 3 or 4. So if he gets through that and the bullpen's much better than Washington's bullpen, that should be enough to get the job done.
Yep. Absolutely right. Yeah, you're going to get 4 innings, and then here comes the Washington pen, and enjoy that. It's one of those games, if you get down early, don't panic, because there could be good things to come. So that's going to do it for the farm. That's going to do it for the show. We thank everybody for stopping by. Don't forget to, once again, to check out all the great offerings here at the Max Wagers Network. But if you can't make any of those, at least come back and see us tomorrow as we'll wind it up again, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. Scott and I will do our best, as we always do, to help you in that journey to head back to